we're back. Once again, I'm Chris Franks. Welcome to the ICOSA Media's live coverage of Colorado Gives Day. Joined now by some fine folks from a place called The Center. We have Kathleen Rooney, a volunteer, Danny Perea, and Phil Nash, one of the founders of The Center. Welcome, guys. Thank you for being here. I'll read a little bit about the organization and ask you guys some questions. The Center is the only statewide nonprofit community center dedicated to providing support and advocacy for Colorado's gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender population. They engage, empower, enrich, and advance our community through statewide advocacy and nationally recognized cultural and educational programming. Clearly, I need to have my tongue replaced. Other than that, thank you guys. Welcome for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So, Phil, you mentioned you were one of the founders of the organization. When was the organization founded, and towards what end?
Well, the organization was founded in 1976 and opened its doors in 1977. That was a very different time in the Denver community, at a time when most people who were gay or lesbian were not out of the closet. It was a very difficult time in terms of the relationship between the gay community and the police department, for example. There were a lot of issues with police harassment. Police felt that it was their duty to kind of enforce moral laws in the community as well as the legal laws. And so there was a lot of confrontation. It kind of even goes back to the early days of the modern gay rights movement with Stonewall, which was the kind of the kickoff of the modern gay rights movement, with confrontations between community people and the police.
You speak of the incident out of New York.
That's correct, in 1969.
A group stormed the police who were trying to invade a club, I believe.
Correct. So the original intent of the center was to create a base of community and even some power within the community, to be able to have a shared voice, to talk to the rest of the community about what our issues were and what we needed to become an fully integrated part of the community, as well as to provide services to people in the community to become more fully who they were.
And Danny, not quite as a confrontational environment in 2012, but still work to be done. What's the center working on today to help the GLBT community?
Well, probably the biggest and most recognizable thing we'll be doing next year is we're going to be gearing up again for the civil unions legislation coming up in the new legislative session. And that's going to be our legal and advocacy program. Our legal director, Mindy Barton, is amazing at what she does. Last year she gave testimony at the civil unions hearings. And then our legal and advocacy program also runs a legal helpline and helps anyone who calls in with issues of discrimination because of their orientation. We provide resources for them, and we occasionally take on a case on their behalf.
And Kathleen, you volunteer for the organization. What is it that compelled you to volunteer and want to spend time at the center?
Well, actually, I watched a speech that Rachel Maddow gave at Smith College, and it was about life choices and what you want your life to be about, and get out there and do something and give back. And the following week I went to orientation at the center with Julie German and Shawan Turner, our volunteer coordinators, and started at the front desk. And I just have been so impressed with the staff and all the community members that I've gotten to meet being there. I'm there every Tuesday morning, and she mentioned the civil unions bill. When it was up, we went to the courthouse and listened to the testimony, and I realized, being fairly new to Denver, how many people I knew in the community by recognizing all the faces that were there in support of civil unions. And it's just made a tremendous difference in my life, and there's so many new programs coming up that I just encourage people, get involved, come visit us, see what we're all about.
Phil, I think that what impressed me most about the organization is that you guys, like many of the other organizations we've talked to today, create a sense of community for people that oftentimes don't have it. People times that are often feel lonely and neglected and don't feel like they have a place to go. Was that the original intent behind the organization?
I think the original intent behind the organization was to provide alternatives for people to gather and connect socially and around political issues that were not located in bars. At the time that I was growing as a young adult, coming out, about the only place you could go in the community were to bars or to other kinds of institutions that were really kind of marginal in the community. And the community center, which is, by the way, one of the oldest organizations of its kind in the United States. We've been very successful with the center here in Denver to sustain it over 36 years actually. And it's now serving maybe 2 generations beyond those of us who helped initiate it, because I know there are 13, 14, 15-year-old kids who are going to the center now, which would not have even been possible 36 years ago. So, but back to your original question, which was what?
Yeah, the original intent was to create a sense of community for those that maybe didn't have it.
Correct. The original intent was based on earlier efforts to become more politically active in the community, to mobilize the community around political issues. But what came to be what the very early activists discovered is that first you needed to have a sense of community, people friends with each other, people walking side by side, hand in hand with each other, as we do every year at Pridefest, for example, where you can see the whole community in its many facets, all different ages, all different shapes, colors, sizes, and to be able to realize that all of us have something in common. All of us share a common bond of probably growing up not being supported for who we were and wanting to change the world in such a way that this doesn't happen to the next generation.
Danny, we talked a little bit about Pridefest. Awesome segue, thank you, Phil. Talk a little bit about Pridefest, and I know that's one of the biggest undertakings you guys do every year.
Yeah, it's probably actually how most people know us, is that we produce Denver Pridefest. It's one of the top 10 prides in the nation, and one of the largest prides in the nation as well. Denver Pridefest attracts over 325,000 people to the city every year. Big party in the park, and it's a celebration of our culture. You know, it's our chance to be out and proud. For a lot of people who come from other states, Utah, southern Wyoming, it's kind of their only chance all year to do that. So we really treasure that. And actually, Kathleen is an amazing Pridefest intern. She started volunteering in September of 2011, and in 2012 she was a Pridefest intern. We loved her that much.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So you were not very busy.
No,
Yeah,
not at all.
it was easy. It's an easy event to put on, I'm sure.
I got to say, the Mile High City put on an over a mile long Pridefest parade, and I helped Jesse Genther a lot with that, and we were very proud that we hit the mile mark and beyond that.
So Colorado Gives Day, a day for Colorado to give back to their community. How do people find out more about this center, but more importantly, make a donation to you guys today?
So they can go on our website, www.glbtcolorado.org, and right on our front page is our donate link. And we also have a number of giving teams running right now for our individual programs, our youth program, transgender program, elders program, and legal and advocacy program, all running separate fundraisers for Colorado Gives Day. So you can give to even, you know, maybe the program that means most to you in your life.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you guys very much for your time, for coming in, spend a little bit of time with us, telling us about the center. Phil, Danny, Kathleen, we appreciate your time, and best of luck. Looking for great things to see from you in the coming years.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.